This weekend saw us travel to Shropshire in readiness for the Telford 10K on Sunday.
So we decided that a revisit to Shrewsbury parkrun, which I've only done once before, back in 2016, was on the cards. It's a lovely scenic course, as you will see as we take you around the full course with a point of view camera. So Shrewsbury, or is it Shrewsbury parkrun? Even the locals can't agree on the pronunciation. Is a very popular event. On this particular beautiful December morning, there were 488 parkrunners out.
So the course starts on the banks of the River Severn. You do a short loop before then doing a larger loop. You then go out and back again along the side of the River Severn,
Before doing another large loop of the park and then finishing back along the banks of the River Severn, and you actually end up about half a mile away from the start line.
So this parkrun is all on good tarmac, so you'll get away with wearing your road shoes.
And the loops that are around the park are pretty hilly. You can see we're turning here to go up a slope for the first of the small loops. It's nothing particularly challenging, but it does sap the legs, I reckon, if you're trying to run hard and chase a particular time.
Yes, especially if you are chasing a time and you're having to go up it for the third time. So yeah, make sure you keep something in reserve.
As we get to the top of the hill, it's well worth taking the time to admire St Chad's Church, which you can see there. Now, this, in a remarkable parkrun tie-in, was founded by King Offa back in the late 700s. Now, 2 weeks ago, we're at Tamworth Parkrun, which is a town where King Offa actually made his capital for a while. So there you go, remarkable parkrun tie-ins. We've got an even more amazing tie-in fact with a recent parkrun we've done coming up later in the vlog. As far as Shrewsbury Parkrun is concerned, there's no one official car park. The recommendation is to park around the town. We actually paid to park in the car park of the church. It cost us, I believe, £3 for an hour and a half, and it was right near the start line.
What goes up then goes down, and you are rewarded with the flowing downhill 3 times.
So as we complete the first small loop, it's time to think about the first Shrewsbury personality that we found out about, and that is Percy Thrower. Now, viewers of a certain age, i.e. mine and a little bit older, may remember Percy Thrower as the Blue Peter gardener. He was also superintendent of the gardens in Shrewsbury for about 28 years. And we're actually running round an area now that he developed, and it's absolutely beautiful. If you do get a chance before the parkrun or after the parkrun, I'd heartily recommend going there.
The gardens are called Dingle Gardens.
And there's a rather odd statue of Percy Thrower at the entrance. It's just his head there. Don't know, maybe they didn't have the money for the full body, who knows.
And when you get to the bottom of the first slope, don't forget to turn right and not left. There are marshals there to remind you, and plenty of runners going in the right direction.
So back here along the banks of the River Severn, we're going to do the one big park loop before heading out in the River Severn in the opposite direction. And if you're not in a full-out race or time trial, well worth taking the time to admire the views across the River Severn. I think that's a boating club across the river on the other bank. And we're about to pass a statue of Hercules here. Now, the story goes that this statue used to be at the top of the hill by St Chad's Church, which I've already mentioned. But ladies of Shrewsbury were embarrassed that he didn't have a fig leaf covering his private parts. So that was added to the statue, and more recently it was removed down to the bottom of the hill where we can see it today. But sadly that turns out to be an urban myth, as when some restoration work was done on the statue and they were cleaning up the area around the leaf, it was discovered that Hercules had never had any tackle to start with. And just before you get to the end of the park and swing a right up the hill, you pass this lovely looking bridge. Porthill Bridge, built in 1922, obviously goes across the River Severn.
So we're climbing back up the hill again towards St Chad's Church, and as we round the top, the sun shines into our eyes. A very chilly morning, but absolutely beautiful.
So practicalities, there are toilets in the leisure centre to our left, and a couple of 100 yards time there are also public toilets in Quarry Park. Now if you look closely on the right, you will just see the memorial to the fallen of the First and Second World War coming up in that cupola dome. We took a chance to visit it and pay our respects before the parkrun. And coming up on the left, you can see a memorial there. It's a statue which commemorates the men of the King's Shropshire Light Infantry who fell in the Boer War, 1899 to 1902. 146 names listed there. I can think of two other parkruns off the top of my head where there are Boer War memorials. One is in Crewe, one is in Shrewsbury. So as I'm very keen in finding war memorials and paying my respects around the country, if you know of any other parkruns with a Boer War memorial in, please let me know in the comments below.
Despite the hills on this parkrun, it's still 169 fastest in the UK.
And that's out of 760, so by no means the slowest you'll find, but not a super quick course either. So bottom of the hill again, and this time you do get to turn left on lap 2. Don't turn right again because you could find yourself running round Quarry Park all day long. I mean, I can think of worse ways of spending a Saturday, but possibly not fair on the volunteers to stand out there all day. So along the banks of River Severn, you can just see in the top corner there Shrewsbury School. So there were some very famous people attended there. The first one is Charles Darwin, who is possibly the most famous person to come from Shrewsbury, author of The Origin of Species and originator of the theory of evolution. Also attending that school was Michael Palin, one of the Monty Python comedians, and possibly the final famous person to attend there, who I've heard of, is Michael Heseltine, the former Deputy Prime Minister in the Thatcher administration of the 80s. So as you see us running along, you can see the leaders flying past in the opposite direction, having done the out and back section. So the River Severn, we're just thinking as we're running along, we can think of 4 parkruns that either go alongside the River Severn or cross over the River Severn. So there's Severn Bridge Parkrun, which we've done down in Chepstow. There's the Severn Valley Parkrun, which isn't far from here. We had thought about going there today, but the course looked a little bit wet underfoot given the fact we're racing a 10k tomorrow. And then there's also Worcester Pitchcroft Parkrun, where you run along the banks of the River Severn in the last kilometre. That's 4 parkruns over or on the same river. So can you think of any other rivers in the UK which have 3 or more parkruns which either run alongside or over them? So we've already had the amazing coincidental tie-in of King Offa, who was a presence in Tamworth where we were 2 weeks ago and was a presence in Shrewsbury where we are today. But an even more amazing coincidence that I came across relates to the parkrun we were at last week, which was Rotherham. Well, we told you that one of Rotherham's famous residents was David Seaman, the ex-England goalkeeper who won 75 caps for his country. Amazing to find, when I was doing the research for this, Shrewsbury is the hometown of Joe Hart. It's where he started his career, Shrewsbury Town, and he actually won 75 caps in goal for England too. So how about that? England's joint second capped goalkeepers, one from Rotherham, one from Shrewsbury, where we did the parkruns on consecutive weekends. It's not by design, obviously. We don't go following parkruns around the country based on whether they produced England goalkeepers or not. Although we did run in the week, didn't we, round Hillsborough Park, where Ron Springer, who's 10th on the list, played for Sheffield Wednesday with his 33 caps. Anyway, we digress. Back to the parkrun.
So you can see here we're passing by the finish area, but no, we're not about to stop. We've still got at least another lap to go. Yes, we are only about halfway in.
So you can see you can go long here, you can go short here, so it's a real challenge to get it just right. So Shrewsbury is a very historic town. I mean, I could go on and on about castles and abbeys and battles, but yeah, disbelieve me that if you do spend time in Shrewsbury, you won't be disappointed. We're certainly going to come back for a long weekend here. We have visited before, but yeah, going through the town afterwards, full of Grade 2 listed buildings. I think there's around 600. So beautiful River Severn, very picturesque park, historic town, lovely place to visit. Just coming up to turnaround point here, and you'll see a monument there. It's to a man named William James Clement, who was a famous surgeon and philanthropist of the Victorian era. It's a little bit tucked away. It used to be in the Dingle, that area we said in the middle of the park where Percy Thrower redesigned the gardens. But it's relocated here. It's a little bit out of the way, and some people think it ought to have a more prominent position, but it's quite prominent here because you get hundreds of people running or walking past it every Saturday morning.
So going past the finish area for the second time, but no, you're not going to stop. You've got to go on. You've got another 2 kilometres to go.
So in one of those amazing parkrun coincidences, you'll just see a chap here in the orange t-shirt running with his lad. Very well paced run they did. He actually spoke to us at the end. He said he'd been watching our Alexandra parkrun video that we did back in April only last night. So how about that? He's watching us last night and running almost step by step with us this morning. The wonderful world of YouTube and parkrun. So very much enjoying our parkrun experience this morning. We're meeting lovely people, we're running in a very historic area, there's lots of interest for me to learn about. What a fantastic morning out at Shrewsbury Parkrun. So just running along the top part of the park for the final time here, just approaching the church. So if you have yet to do Shrewsbury, or indeed Shrewsbury Parkrun, we're still not sure which, then it's certainly one we would highly recommend. So yeah, look at it. Lovely rolling parkland, the river, all the points of interest, the history. What a fantastic morning out we have had.
Decisions, decisions. Third time to the bottom of the hill, left or right?
And for the third time, we get it absolutely bang on and turn left towards the finish line. I think I clocked about 600 metres to go from this point. Under another lovely bridge. They do like their bridges in Shropshire. In fact, in the afternoon we went to a town called Iron Bridge, where remarkably they built the world's first iron bridge. And into the finish area and across the finish line in a time of 27 minutes. Now, due to the numbers who do this parkrun, this is a really long finish funnel. In fact, it kept going on and on and on. I wondered at one point we might actually end up through the finish funnel at Bridgenorth Parkrun, which is probably about 18 miles down the river from here. But no, we did eventually get to the end of it and get our tokens scanned.
So it was at this point that we had quite a few people come up to us and say that they had been watching the channel and how much they enjoyed it. So I just want to say thank you very much, and it was really nice to meet you. Keep on keeping on.
And keep on keeping on is what we are doing through this finish funnel. It's a good way to flush some of the lactic out of your legs if you have run this parkrun hard. I think we're just about coming to the end of it now. Yeah, and we can get our token scanned. Actually, I spoke too soon. It's something called a split funnel. It's what organisers do when they have large numbers of people finishing at a similar time, and they put them in batches of 10 or more. We've seen it happen at Pool Parkrun as well. So really well organised from the core team at Shrewsbury Parkrun.
Yeah, number 73 for me.
Number 73, is this your local?
Technically on paper, yes, but
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I frequent them down in the southwest more often.
Alright, what's your favourite southwest one?
Tamar Lakes.
Tamar, we did that once, didn't
Tamar
we?
Lakes.
Yeah, it's the only one that is the only parkrun we've done in Cornwall, because half of it is technically in Cornwall.
Well, two-fifths.
2/5, there we go. Precise. And just had time to get into the Christmas spirit with a quick visit to St Chad's Church. Look at all these Christmas trees, looking truly wonderful at this time of year. So I hope you've enjoyed joining us on this visit to Shrewsbury Parkrun. If you have, please give this video a like, and if you'd like to see our further parkrun adventures and our races, and perhaps how we get on at the Telford 10k tomorrow, then please subscribe to the channel. So until next time, keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.